Oh. Hello, everyone. Welcome to our Monday, March 18th, 2024 Seaford Board of Education meeting. My name is Kim Hopkins and I am the board president. Welcome all of our lovely community members. As Dara said, we have a lot of guests today and we're happy about it. We're calling this meeting to order at 6 o'clock. The next item on our agenda is approval of the agenda as presented, and I need a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
Second. All right, we have a motion with a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And that motion carries. The next item on our agenda is the pledge of allegiance and moment of silence. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please remain standing for a moment of silence. Thank you, Stephen. The next item on our agenda is the approval of minutes. So colleagues, hopefully everyone had the opportunity to review the minutes from February 20th, 2024. If you have and there's no discussion on it, may I have a motion to approve?
Marcus Short, I move to approve the minutes of the 2024 board meeting.
There Savage, second.
I have a motion, I have a second. If there's no further discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And that motion carries. The next item on our agenda is public participation. And I do not believe we have any direct experience. We do not have it. Come on in, Mr. Ben, Dr. Benson. Dr. Benson.
Sorry.
Next item on our agenda is reports and presentation. 6.01, awards and presentation, and Dr. B.
Yes, and so this is the reason for our full house.
All right.
Welcome, everyone. We are going to start with recognizing transportation services this evening. Right there, come on forward. We are going to recognize first Lambden's bus.
All
You
right.
want to say a few words?
I did. We have two special guests here tonight that we want to recognize. Tonight, Beverly and Jimmy Lambden have served the students and the families of Seaford School District for 56 years. Transporting our kids for forever. As long as I've been alive, 56 years. I'm gonna make sure I give you the box, because I know if I don't, Jimmy's gonna drop this, for sure. But 56 years is a long time to be transporting kids in the Seaford School District.
That is awesome.
I'm sure that they have transported many generations in this school district. And so I can tell you that as long as I've been doing this now with transportation, everyone in this community speaks highly of the Lambdens. There's not anybody who across the state that doesn't know the Lambdens, especially Mr. Jimmy. There's nowhere that I have not gone that somebody does not know Mr. Jimmy. And so, Bev, you've done a great job with him. So I'm sure you have your work cut out with him, but I can tell you that we are certainly honored to have had you guys here with us for all of these years, working with our kids and transporting our kids here for 56 years. So we want to thank you for your service and for your time here with our kids in the Seaford School District. If you want,
We're gonna come around and be on this. I'm gonna.
do you have any words of wisdom for future?
They change the law. Kids and the discipline and everything else. So we made it.
Seen it all. Thank you so much. We're gonna do.
after this.
Yeah.
I used to ride bus 14 from.
Shoot the bad kid.
Their kids are also here as well, their families here as well.
Break the camera, go ahead.
Okay, ready? 1,
Grandma knows to have that.
2, 3. There we go. Yeah, everybody there?
I'm gonna stay back here, I got a peg leg. My wife kicked me in my foot. I got up, she got worried about my fault. I got well, man. I want to wear another.
Oh,
Your nurse will take
I had a
that.
lot of people tell me about Big Daddy. Big Daddy. Mr. Rice, can you make it over or you gonna? I'll walk with them.
Oh, helping him up there, cause he.
Oh, goodness.
He does too much.
Make it over, right? Sure.
Yeah, we're good. You're fine, you're fine.
I'm calling myself. I'm calling out my foot now.
That's nice.
1, 2, 3. There we go.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right. That's my, you all been on this, on there.
Grandma told me you brought a three-wheel right to your house. I know, that red three-wheel first one came out of there.
Do you guys want a picture with mom and dad?
Yes.
I have to pick up with them.
You know what it is? I just figured out, take my boots, my glass.
I think let me take one first. Sorry. Ready?
That's what it is.
Okay.
Too much more.
You want one with your phone? Have you got it? No, it's fine. All right, ready? 1, 2, 3.
Awesome.
There we go.
Good deal.
So the next group we want to recognize in this tonight's presentation is K&J Bus Company. They have come in and they have taken over our Lambdin's bus company from the Lambdins. And so K&J is our new contractors to us. And so we want to welcome them aboard. So K&J is our newest contractor. Kim and Donnie, you have some big shoes to fill. You have 56 years. You gotta. Yeah. There was a small print in the contract, Tommy, you forgot about it there. It said 56 years.
Okay. Oh, no, I'm not.
1, 2, 3. One more, 1, 2, and 3.
Awesome.
Thank you.
I've got something for our current contractors that just says that we are passion driven. So each of you are getting a little sign that says you're passion driven here, because honey, if you gotta have some passion to drive our. I also want to recognize both Tony and John Gundry, who are both contractors for our district, and we have Pop Gundry and we have Tony Gundry, so we want to recognize both of them. So if you guys would come on up. Gundry's been here for a while too, not 56 years, but he's getting there. Not quite that long, right, Pop?
Yeah, started in 76 with the first contract.
So he's been here a little while, but not quite that long. Sorry. I think you're both gonna go over there.
Okay.
Nice try.
Follow the way.
Do you want to do both? Both of them?
Sure.
And I think you know, other ones on your fast. I know that, tell you. We will grab the others, that would be great. You might have to, we got a little bit out of order. Sorry. You're going really fast on them, sorry. Or not that you were going fast, as I was out of order. There. I think if I was a parent, it didn't matter.
Oh, yeah.
But we all shift a little bit.
Time to keep me.
We shift a little bit.
Way to go.
All right, there we go. 1, 2, 3.
Wow.
So I'll get some more bus driver. Absolutely.
Bring your bus driver.
Pick right up a little bit.
I don't
Uh, Yeah. He's not alone. Yeah.
We have another one who's also been in our district for quite some time, and that's Miss Betty Chambers. She's also been here for.
You're gonna have.
We had Ms. Liz to come up with her, but I don't think that's gonna happen. Come on, Ms. Liz. Grab that, then she's got your certificate over there.
She's been there, he's got her.
70. Wow. 1970. Wow, see?
Wow.
Almost as long as I can. Wow.
Thank you so much.
It's a certificate. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, 1, 2, 3. There we go.
Oh, thank you, man.
We have Mr. Daryl Hayes, which is in DB Hayes, who's also one of our contractors here. Daryl, you too have to stick around for 56 years, so sorry to say, Daryl's been here with us for a while. With 56 years.
Good deal.
I got a ways to go, Daryl, so. Got a ways to go.
Yeah, you're tough,
That's right. Tough. That's right. Good job.
Sir, thank you, Mr. Hayden.
1, 2, and 3.
Oh, good job. Thank you.
26 more years there.
26. Our last one that's here tonight, is, Diane's bus service, which is Jim and Tammy Korn, that's here tonight. The other one that is not here tonight is Davis Buses out of, Delmar. He is not feeling well this evening, so he's not here, but Jim and Tammy are here from Diane's Buses who, are in the back. Come on up, Jim and Tammy. Here this afternoon about some things that these guys have been doing. I have asked these guys in the past year and a half to do some really incredible things. Sometimes they fought me a little bit on some. But for the most part, they have done some incredible things over the last year and a half. Since COVID, these guys as contractors have had to go through a lot, and you're going to hear more about it in tonight's presentation that Mr. Bill and I are going to be doing. They've had to do some phenomenal things when it comes to transporting kids, and no matter what you have going on in the buildings, you wouldn't have it if these guys weren't here transporting.
That's right.
And so they might be puking on the way in here, but they're gonna bring them here and they're gonna take them home, even if they're upset and hurt and injured, they're gonna get them home for you as well. And so I just want these guys to know how much I appreciate them, because what they do on a every single day basis with their drivers and their staff is an undertaking in itself. And so later tonight, there's more information you're gonna hear about what every single one of them are doing independently, and what's happening in the world of transportation. But I just want them to know from the bottom of my heart I appreciate what you're doing. We are back in full force with everything swinging in transportation, prior to our world from COVID, and so they're doing a phenomenal job of what's happening. So thank you for everything that you guys are doing for transportation for us.
Unfortunate heroes. Thank you.
So, I told you guys didn't have to stay, and I told you it wouldn't be long, so take her out to dinner, Jimmy.
Thank you all for coming.
Yes,
Thank you all.
Yeah, thank you.
Welcome
Thank you.
aboard.
Appreciate it.
Thanks for coming. Nice to meet you.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah, my son, I'm going to play 6'3", and every time she sees my son, she. Like, come on. Oh, my fault. I'm the problem.
Yeah.
It's me.
I know you won't.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying, right?
Always.
Yeah.
Good to have, we're really.
So, those little things.
Yes, ma'am, keep it straight. Keep it straight.
Hey.
You're tough, buddy.
You're tough.
Yes, sir.
You never do for you. Always have to do some content.
Oh, I don't know if everybody knows, but Mr. Landon used to be a custodian.
Yeah. Junior
When
high.
he was chief custodian at West Seaford when I was a little girl. Yes, ma'am.
Everyone of the kids know it too, you know, he knew every kid.
I was like, the last first game was, we were getting there.
Oh,
And get there,
he drove sports buses.
Yeah.
and he put the pedal to the.
Show up late, get there early.
No, no, yeah.
Yeah.
You being there, like, over parent.
5 minutes away.
You know, that'll be a little bit.
All right, so next we have our best at the nest and Dr. D.
Yes, that would be me. So, Best of at the Nest awards for this month go to Josh Griffin. Kaylin Rellis. Samantha Delgado. And Jared Miller. And they are not here this evening, but we will make sure that they get their certificates this week at the links. Yep.
Next, item on our agenda is the superintendent's communication, 6.02.
Well, in the interest of time, I will concentrate on the fact that we are hosting on Thursday the State Board of Education meeting at 5 p.m. at the Seaford High School auditorium. We have 3 of our elementary schools who will be receiving banners, but there are also other schools across Sussex County who will be receiving banners. I will be giving a brief presentation. The board will conduct their regular meeting. But it was an honor to be asked. I'm looking forward to it. We have some cake pops from Sweet Serenity that we have for the board members. And I'm looking forward to a rather pleasant evening. So if you can come, that would be wonderful. It starts at 5. Yeah, so other than that, we are entering into testing season and a few short weeks, we will have our spring break and then be in full swing with Smarter Balance and all of that entails, so.
Thank you. Next item is for communication. So board members, do you have anything that you want to discuss?
I do. I just wanna again highlight all of our bus contractors. I think I was probably less than a week old and I was on the school bus for the first time. My aunt actually got her bus license the week I was born, and I was on a bus early and often throughout my life. Grew up around the Landons, grew up around the Horns, grew up around the Chambers, grew up around the Gundrys. Know all of those areas very well. I love them all so much. But back to the business at hand. Earlier this month, we had the DSBA Board of Directors meeting. The DSBA is in good financial standing. We spent some time to talk about some of the legislative stuff that we've already gone over, so we're not gonna do that again. We talked about the upcoming NSBA national conference. We have 38 folks going from Delaware, including 2 superintendents and our executive director, 6 superintendents and our executive director. So we're looking to have a really great time down in New Orleans, and learn a lot too. Because that's, that's why we're going. Most important, first things first. We went on to talk about JFC meetings, and funding is, we're looking at funding increases this year, hopefully, in the governor's recommended budget. Most of that to go to increases in teacher pays. We continue to advocate for raises across the board in addition to the teachers, because we all deserve a raise. Well, they all deserve a raise. Let's see, we talked about some referendums. For the most part, referendums this year have been successful. A couple of districts have failed in their referendum efforts. We're hoping that the remaining referendum efforts do go well for the districts that have them upcoming. We discussed school board elections. There are only 10 contested races this year, 38 open seats. New website is uploaded for DSBA. I got a sneak peek. It looks pretty fresh, so that'll be that's coming up. And that was the end of the substantive discussion.
All right, does anyone else have anything? All right, thank you, everyone. Next item will be Mr. Cam and the school calendar.
Yes, if I was all right, if I just stay and do this, sorry, thank you. So the calendar committee met back in, goodness, I guess the beginning of February and January, somewhere in there. And the committee is made up of 2 parents and 2 teachers, one from the elementary or secondary level that the SEA selects. We also have an admin from each level that represents us as well. We have Dr. Jeanette stepped in for the curriculum side. We also have Sarah Smith joins us on the admin side to represent pre-K's interests, and have a parent on the group to kind of walk us through and guide from the parent side of stuff. Because although there were several parents on that committee, we're doing double duty because we're also working in the district. So July is a relatively quiet month in the school, but we get into August. What does everybody want to know as soon as the calendar comes out? When's the first day? When's the last day? And how many weeks or how many days of Christmas? So the first day back for teachers, if you accept the proposed calendar night, is the 19th, which is similar to what we have been doing before. We get the PD days in, and then we get a little bit of time in before Labor Day. So the first day for pre-K, K369, that transition day, is the 26th of August, followed by the first day for everybody being the 27th. We have our traditional 12-month only day on the 30th of August, and then we have Labor Day off. This Labor Day is just about as early as it can be, being there on the 2nd. This PD day here in September is also the primary election day, so that's why it's so early. But as you know, the state has gone back to doing a professional development day, a statewide in-service, which they've traditionally done in that 2nd Friday of October. One of the things that we asked that the chiefs really worked on and instruction, I believe, was, is there any way that day can get tied into this primary day, because we're already having to be closed for students, because the election law states that when there's an election there for primary purposes or general election, you can't have students there. So the state listened, and the statewide in-service day is actually the 10th of September, which gave us a little more flexibility, because I believe for the first time in the history of my career, the unit count will actually be the final 10 days of September. We're not gonna have a PD day in there, so, we'll actually be able to start the count on, when it's supposed to and not be a day earlier. Not that I wanna think about unit count yet, but anyway. Begin in October, have a PD day in here, and then the end of the first marking period is a happy Halloween for everybody. And then we get into November in an election year, which poses its challenges. We're closed for election day. We have a half day for return day, that's a PD day, as well. So into that week's a little chopped up for the students. You then get into being off for Veterans Day, which is that Monday. And then we gotta get the parent conference day there, so that was getting in there on the 12th. We talked about some different stuff about that parent conference day, maybe coming in here the 6th, but then you got school on a Monday and school on Friday. There's no real good answer. So we tried to go with the less of the evils, and to be honest with you, we really leaned on the parents on the committee, not just the parent representative, but what's best. And this, was the overwhelming thought was this is the best option of not good options. Traditional Thanksgiving is late this year, because you get into where you have three full weeks before Christmas. And the committee, so our last day before winter break would be the 20th. We would be closed from the 23rd through the 3rd, coming back on the 6th. That was the overwhelming thought of trying to do that. Obviously, when you do that, that adds some time at the end, because as I think Dr. Nett and I were both in there, we said we come in, you gotta work 188 if you're a teacher, you gotta work 185 if you're a parent. And our response is, we're here all 12, so it doesn't matter it does matter to us, but we try to work through where we are. A PD day in conjunction with Martin Luther King days, gets a nice 4-day weekend for the students. We get to the end of the second marking period, we do have the PD day in here afterwards. And remember, one of the things we're negotiated to in our CBA is we have to have a PD day, record keeping day, a half day of record keeping after the marking period closes within that 5 days. So that sometimes jams up where we can be. We also work with instruction to make sure we get the DDI days in appropriate, so they're all in there. Again, in February, we get the parent conference in, that does happen to coincide, that parent conference day, that is the Monday after the Super Bowl. Seems to work well for us with, a lot of students who stay up longer than they should on that Sunday evening. A little more production, close for President's Day. Get into a very long March, where we're gonna have some time at the end of the marking period comes in. And then we get into some PD, and I know it might seem odd to have back, but we have done that other times too, to accommodate some folks coming in that have to go back to back on some stuff, but also this kind of worked on the DDI side of stuff and meet the record keeping requirements and some things. We then get into April. The other thing was with Mark being so long was trying to have a little time, because you get into a very late spring break next year because of Easter being on the 20th. It's super late. Which means when we come back, it is a sprint to the end of the school year. Looking at the senior last day in the 21st. Off of Memorial Day, graduation is about as early as it can be, being in May on the 30th. Makes the last student day the 10th, followed by the last teacher day on the 13th. I mean, this year, our last day for teachers is going to be the 11th because of the 2 added days, but when you get into an election year and you get into the extra 2 days of Christmas, it pushes you a little bit later into the year. And then our weather contingency days, please notice that we always put that a week after as weather contingency. We only have 4 of them this year because we are closed for Juneteenth for the holiday. So it makes for 172 student days, giving us just shy of 9 extra days in there for that. However, for seniors, it only gives us about 1.5 extra hours with the seniors. So it is where graduation, we come back here, it's early, so to get the time that has to happen there. We have talked about, and Dr. Crossan sat on the committee, we talked about this. I talked with Dr. Harrison afterwards. There are some things that we can do to make up time if we do have to miss a day or whatever. Like, graduation practice all of a sudden becomes an attendance day
Mhm.
to get in there. We can also do some credit recovery, some time that we can build in there to recover, so we don't get jammed up. I will tell you, it's a little bit concerning, but we'll figure out what we have to do. There are some ways that we can do stuff. If we have to do that senior's last day, it won't be the first time we've had to move the senior's last day, but ideally with no snow, this would be the calendar. So this is the calendar committee presented to Dr. Giralamo. I think we made a few more tweaks. And then this is in fact what the calendar committee brings to the board for your approval this evening.
We also put the information out ahead of time. Mr. Cameron shared the committee, the constraints, the requirements, to just be even more transparent with stakeholders to say kind of, look, this is what we're up against each year. And part of creating this calendar, because of course you generate a calendar and folks always like to, oh, why do we have a PD day there? What's this? And be able to say, like, we have this many record keeping days. We have this many days that we need to do DDI. We have this many days that are required for students, for staff members, for paraprofessionals. And then to also say, here are the members of the committee. So if you have feedback or recommendations or suggestions, please reach out to these people ahead of time.
So I'm gonna raise a question from the stakeholders, regarding the calendar. I know that there are certain, so that we can be on the record, what are the requirements for the number of PD days outside of the record keeping days? Is there a requirement?
There's not a requirement. We try to have the DDI days set in there because of what that entails. Dr. Deck can comment a little further on that. And you can see we do 5 PD days at the front end to get ready for the school year. So we take a big chunk of that at the start of the year. And then they're periodically throughout, but really we have a statewide one that coincides with the election this time, but a lot of the other ones are almost all tied to DDI, and then half of that 100 day is record 3 of the record keeping days.
And the concern is childcare. Yeah. So that's why I'm raising the concern from the stakeholders, because I don't remember which month it was, but one it was 2 back to back, and then it was another one that it becomes very taxing for our stakeholders who have to fund childcare. So I just wanted to raise their concern in going forward, thinking about the PD days, if we could think about the configuration of those days to minimize the repetition of PD days. I mean, I know we have to have them, but just maybe the configuration of them to make it easier on those who need childcare.
Can I ask in what sense, so I can take that back to the committee?
I don't know if it's, I know that you're concerned, like, God, they're out of school again. That's what I keep hearing. They're out of school again, they're out of school again, what the hell are they doing? And I know that PD days are necessary, especially the record keeping days and the testing days. I just think it's the number of days, and if we're just having a PD day just because we've always had it, is it necessary? I mean, there's one month we don't have any. I think it's February. There's none in there. So I mean, so clearly there's some.
Well, maybe we could even do a better connection between the professional development we do and how it impacts our instruction and our reading scores and our achievement too. That without this professional development, the new teachers that we have aren't as effective as instructors.
Right. Oh, I get it.
Right. So that folks then understand how we are using those professional development days productively.
I think that would help a bit. There's always going to be that short when it comes to child.
Right, but I don't think we use them lightly. So I think putting that explanation out there of how we are using them would be part of that transparency and sharing information, just like we did with our inclement weather decision making, which had a phenomenal reception.
Yeah, it did.
We did the same thing with our professional development. That would be very helpful.
Also, the committee, oftentimes folks come with, I don't think it's ever happened where they'll come with, why can't we do some half days? And we explain the burden that half days are in our district, and we don't.
Right.
But it comes all the time, and it's the same reason, it's the child, it's much easier for someone to try to take care of a whole day
Right.
versus a half day. It's the same thing we discussed with the
It's
other
breakfast
days,
and
like
lunch.
if it's, we would rather make the decision to call off than try to get them in here and then have to dismiss them, because that's just
That's
a
right.
disaster.
But I think your communication, which, you know, I've always pushed, the communication, I think is key, so I think that would help.
And my only question, is it, you know, either PD days or lesson, or even if they were shifted towards the end, that would just put the kids out earlier. Because the amount of days and hours would still be the same amount, they just would start their summer break sooner.
Right, because teachers have to do the same
Right,
days.
right,
Or you can eliminate days, because if the teacher contractual days are their teacher work days regardless, right?
right.
But the value of that professional learning time is measured against the students not being in school.
And I think you're right, just seeing how the PD is driving instruction, I think is key. And I think it's key to communicate.
And to Dr. Jeanette's credit and the rest of the team, even with our principals cabinet, we already have a working professional development calendar going into next year. And could, you know, easily before the beginning of next school year, share that out, you know, in some digestible manner to say that these are the topics, you know, whether it's something that like Mr. Zoll has topics that go along with safety and security, there's the teaching and learning part, there's Gigi has part that goes along with autism and special populations. So there's all of these pieces of the puzzle that get fitted into that professional development schedule. Bookworms, new teacher training, so.
That would be great to include in the calendar.
And I think once folks saw how that time starts really getting carved away. Yeah.
Communications.
And I will say what I do think this calendar does do is it does a good job of eliminating core instruction days. Because there are certain days on the calendar where kids aren't gonna learn as much just because of the nature of the calendar. And this does a good job of eliminating those days and making sure that that our instructors are getting the most out of their classroom time.
Yep.
Thank you.
What would be some of the reasons we're talking about seniors, something having an hour and a half of. So what would justify them not making it based on being out of school because they missed many days?
Snow days.
Okay.
That's the nice things, we had 2 inclement weather days this year. And because what we had built in the calendar, the students don't have to make up any of that time. The staff does, because they have to work 188 or 185. But as long as we don't get over that a lot, the students don't have to make any up, like they're.
Okay.
So some years you have a little less in there, sometimes you have more, it just depends. And with the way the calendar falls this year, it just, everywhere you look, there was just no way to make stuff and graduate. We would have always continued to do the graduation of Friday after Memorial Day, which has been tradition in this district. Then that's where that's where the seniors' last day is, and with November being, it is doing 2 weeks at Christmas, you just keep losing out on that time.
There's also an operational side of this that Doug and I really do depend on. Those days throughout the year give us time that we can get stuff done throughout the year with vendors and stuff.
Actually get inside the classrooms when there's, and catch up on some maintenance issues
Okay.
and stuff like that. So it's a big operation.
Yeah.
Communication is key.
So it's not the individual itself that can prevent them from going to graduation. It's how we work the program.
Thank you.
Next item on our agenda is 6.05, buildings and grounds biannual presentation, and that would be Henry.
Thank you.
Provision for it, huh?
Give me a minute, I'll get my technology set up over here. All right, tonight I want to talk to you guys, give you our facilities update. We try to do these twice a year. This is actually our March update. So So good evening, everyone. In the past, the buildings and grounds biannual presentation typically consists of before and after pictures. As you guys know, I love my pictures. I love to show the project before and then the finished product that we have at the end. And then a brief description of each. However, tonight I wanted to change it up a little and give our board members and community members some interesting data and funding updates that we basically kind of discovered through our assessments, which we'll be covering later. So I just wanted to cover a few things with you on that. So work order and preventive maintenance, our electronic work order system is currently being used by our technicians, building chiefs, and custodians. And you guys can imagine what that was like trying to get these guys to use this system, but now we're using it pretty religiously. They're constantly on it, which is helping us, I think, address things that are out there that we didn't know about before. So it's a good thing. Custodial staff and our technicians completed 285 work order requests, and we have 198 pending. Now, it's just like what Pat had just said, it's kind of getting in those areas. So that's why you have 198 out there. So spring break, a lot of those will be addressed. And then over the summer, a lot of those will be addressed. There's some larger items that we just can't get in an hour or so and address. So those kind of slide back to summer. And then our building chiefs completed 7,162 preventive maintenance tasks and inspections. And that's very important because that's safety, any kind of PM and inspection like that, playground inspections, fire extinguisher inspections, all that stuff is safety for our kids. So that's a huge step. And I kind of like that data that I got back from that. Moving forward, we will be merging the buildings and grounds and technology work order systems to one platform. Merging the two systems will allow both groups to manage work orders and the district's assets together. So that's a huge step. Thanks to Patches and Josh, they did a lot of hard work to try to help us implement the two together. But and it'll bring the district staff, so teachers, paras, everybody can go onto the system and basically use a one-stop shop. So they could go on one area and basically any kind of work order they have, whether it's technology related or buildings and grounds related, and basically send those in. So yes, perfect. Our maintenance techs. So this is kind of. I had good guys, and they were my boots on the ground. So Mr. Brace, you'll respect that one. But I love my guys, and we're very fortunate to have the five skilled tradesmen in-house that we have. Saves us a numerous amount of money, not having to go out and get contractors in here for electrical, plumbing, HVAC, carpentry, all that good stuff. So I'm going to take tonight and talk about them just a little bit, because this is what the assessment uncovered. Dylan Fox, our district electrician, services 6,820 light fixtures, 226 sub panels, which are the electrical panels, 606,293 square foot of wiring and associated receptacles and devices. Dylan also has a background working with solar, and his experience and training in this field will allow us to perform in-house preventive maintenance task to our pending solar panel project over at Blaze Elementary School and saving the district money. Plumbing, Mike Mulvaney. I think everybody knows Mike Mulvaney. I'll talk to anybody. So Mike Mulvaney, 448 sanitary fixtures, 533 faucets and associated fixtures, 91 drinking fountains, 31 laundry machines, 9 ice machines, 606,293 square foot of water and sewer piping. If anybody's ever done plumbing at your house and you got an older house, you know, when you touch this end, that end leaks. You can imagine what the 200-year-old building gets like every time he touches something. So in addition to this though, Mike is willing to go get a certification over the next year to perform required inspections of our newly installed backflow preventers that were required by the city. And that will also save the district money. So I wanted to highlight that one. HVAC tech. Ron Hurst is the district's HVAC tech. He services 485 unit ventilators, 60 chilled beams, 45 package units, 26 mini splits, 13 boilers, 6 chillers, 606,293 square foot of HVAC piping and pumps. Ron also manages daily our building automated control system, which is our system that controls the HVAC, the temperatures in the classrooms and the boilers and all that stuff. And it makes the necessary changes and adjustments to maximize our energy usage and save the district money as much as possible. Mike Short is our special project coordinator. So basically, he drafts and submits drawings and required documents to the city and state for permitting purposes, which saves us money on architectural, hiring architects and engineers in some of the smaller projects. Some of them we have to because of the procurement ranges and stuff where stuff falls. But if we don't have to, then we can utilize Mike's expertise. Surveys and perform site preparation and improvements for some smaller scale construction projects. Mike's pretty slick. I'm pretty good with equipment, but Mike's pretty slick with some equipment. He can get some stuff done. And he also prepares a scope of work and to include a material list for when we have to go out to letter bid. So, when we have to go out to letter bid for vendors because of the procurement rules, he also prepares some of those scopes along with, we kind of work together on that. Performs minor building repairs and construction renovation projects. So I don't know if you guys probably seen some of his projects in the past, which all the guys did the apartment over at the high school, which I think turned out really nice over there for the beach. And then Shane Heineke, which is my go-to man. It's funny that Kristen kind of proved me this morning and she said, "Hey, I think you forgot your main man." I said, "Oh shoot, I did." So I got but Shane, I tell everybody all the time, I don't know if I want his job because Doug calls him every time Doug gets called. So I'm like, "Hey Shane, we got this. We got a fire. We can put it out." He's like, "All right, I got it." So he's going. But no, Shane really takes pride in what he does. And I really lean on him to coordinate and set up for special events. So it's like Thursday night. I've had him in my office like 3 or 4 times. We're talking through it and making sure the tables get set up right. And I'm OCD. I think Shane's OCD also, because when I walk in, it looks like I did it. So just a great guy.
I like to mention about Shane, and we toured the athletic facility a few board meetings ago. He has been a huge help in everything that's going on in that building to get to where it is. And, we saw everything was so nice and everything, but the behind the scenes, the shelving, everything that's getting stuff in those rooms, he's been a huge instrumental piece of that.
And he actually cleans and maintains that facility for us. So I kind of leaned on him. I said, "Look, this is a nice building. I want to take care of it. So I know you will. So that's where you're at." He said, "Oh, okay, I'm good." So I said, "All right." So he goes in and spends a couple hours a day in there and cleans and also reports anything. But I'm happy to say this. Our student athletes are taking care of the facility. They're policing up amongst each other. They're basically saying, "Hey man, you left that wrong. Where we get that?" You know what I mean? So I've seen it in there with my own eyes. That's amazing because they're taking pride in it. And I hope that pride carries over to keeping our kids in Seaford. And I think it will. So good stuff there. Shane is also a journeyman electrician. So he also helps Dylan Fox, our master electrician, on some bigger projects. And he also assists with field maintenance. He takes a lot of pride in his sports fields. So he also does the baseball, softball for me, along with Chucky Harrington and Fred Murphy, which Chucky got bumped up to the building chief now. So he's gonna be more supervising than he is doing it. But Shane actually does a really nice job of making sure that the weeds are sprayed and all that good stuff. He knows how I am about my grass and all the other good things. So like I said, he takes care of it. The other thing I wanted to cover was ESSER projects and minor CAP projects. So the Buildings and Grounds team completed 142 renovation and construction projects over the past summer. These projects were in addition to the 285 completed work order tasks that I have spoken about previously in the slide. 4 of those ESSER projects would have been considered major capital projects and would have required a referendum to complete if it had not been for the utilized ESSER waiver. The project total cost for the 4 projects was $3,366,652.72. So I think we did a really good job for the community of spending ESSER wisely and doing all we could to basically update our systems and not have to go out to referendum. That's awesome. Minor CAP and enhanced minor CAP. So last year, the state came out with an enhanced minor CAP plan, and we actually took advantage of it, which meant we had to deplete all of our minor CAP funding, which we were able to encumber. All we had to do was have it encumbered. I shouldn't say deplete. We encumbered it, and then we qualified for the enhanced. We used that for the West Seaford parking lot. So it was a one-time money, but we were able to take advantage of it. And I do want to break it down on the funding end of it, of how it was split up. So the funding for this project was split with $351,505 coming out of enhanced minor CAP And the remaining $285,495 coming out of the MCI funding that we had available. So worked out for us. I think we took advantage of what we had available to us and made good use of it. The reason for that project, if you haven't been over to West CP before it was done, it was a ponding issue. Every time it rained, the kids were getting off in water above their shoes. So basically it was a safety concern, and that's why we went after that part with that one. The good news was we had $43,749.25 left in the Haynes Minor Cap, and we were able to, with DOE's approval, slide it over to the Fred Douglass Access Road. So we're going to take that money and move it over to help out the next project that we got coming up. We currently have 74 projects scheduled for the start of spring break and they will continue through the summer. Again, these are the 6 ESSER projects that have required a referendum, if it hadn't been for the ESSER waiver. And those projects totaled $7,147,300. All right, some of the summer projects we have coming up, and actually some of them are going to start over Easter break, is what I just spoke about. The Fred Douglass Access Road should kick off around mid-April, we're hoping. And then repointing at Fred Douglass, Seaford Middle School, and Seaford High School. So repointing is kind of cutting the brick mortar out and then putting new mortar in for our older buildings, kind of watertight, making them watertight again and sealing them up. So I meet with the architects tomorrow on that whole package. HVAC upgrades over here at the district office, and some exterior sidewalk and ramp renovations across the district, and some of us to include here at district office out front. And that's to meet the new ADA laws. I'm trying to bring us up to code on those. So anything that we touch, we're trying to bring it into code. And then installation of some hand dryers over at the middle school. We did it last year over at the high school and put them in, and you wouldn't believe the paper products that we see where they're not wasting paper towels. And that really helps our local budget, because all of that, without ESSER, all of that stuff comes out of our local budget. So we're going after the middle school next, and then we'll play it by ear on the elementary. So I'm not sure I want to do it in elementary school yet, because you think about the kids fight the blower will actually be blown on top. Yeah, I think we might stick with paper towels on those, but they don't waste them like the other secondary schools do. Window repairs and replacements, which are mostly needed. We're going to be doing some of those over the summer at Fred Douglass Middle School and Central Elementary. And then lastly, we're going to be doing the gymnasium renovations at West Seaford. And that's to bring them into what we've done with every other school. We did a lot of media centers and auditoriums and stuff like that. So really that's their gymatorium. So that's where their bleachers are. So we wanted to address that patch. It's also working with Mid-South on a pull down screen and stuff like that for them to be able to have a nice little gymatorium. And then in closing, I want to brag a little bit. Because we actually, Buildings and Grounds, received notification that we completed our major cap audit with no findings. And I'm very proud of that. I worked hard. Amy and Megan used to joke with me, you and your binders. And I keep everything in a binder, so I slide it in and categorize it. And if it's laying on my table, it hasn't made it to the electronic file yet. So I got a whole system there where I take pride in that, and I was happy to honor the Seaford School District with no findings. Any questions or answers? Our questions? I guess I got the answers.
No question.
Listen, I need work orders. And your work orders it's pretty simplified. I know I work orders sometimes. When like if anybody who has access to, like if a teacher sees something falling off the wall, can she go in and put a work order in that? Do you put a common name in there, or you have a spreadsheet that she have to work off of to put that actual saying in?
The patches and Josh have done a really nice job with that. So it's basically drop down.
Okay, yeah, that's good. Cause I was thinking some people get scared and they don't know what to say, they won't tell you. And we want them to have that ability to know that, hey, I can make a statement too and somebody can understand it.
Basically a series of drop downs, but we
Yep.
also have the ability to go in if somebody really doesn't know. We can talk to that resource, folks will know from their ID, and then we can talk to them and get that information.
Awesome. Who is the one that work orders go to one specific place, or you have somebody monitoring more?
So we set up, it depends like on the departments and stuff like that, but basically my work orders right now are set up to where, and eventually I think they'll go to Josh and myself.
Okay,
And then from there, they'll go from, like, the building chief will get the custodian's work orders. They'll have to decide for those whether they need maintenance or not.
okay,
I see all of them, and I'm gonna keep it that way.
very good.
Just because I can tell, you know, in case a custodian's confused about something, maybe I can help with that or something like that.
Very good.
So, and I'm pretty sure that's the way Josh will be set up also. He'll see everybody's work orders and then, the technicians will see the ones they need to see. So basically,
They
that's
actually,
fine.
our technician can see them all and grab one if they see what needs to be done, and we can do that on our side because their skill sets are.
Yeah, like some of them might just be, like, sitting in a picture home or something, and they can walk by and stick that up and be done with it.
And with this, what'll be nice is like if we have a install of a flat screen TV like this and we like,
Yeah,
you know, we can actually he can get his part done and say it's ready for you and.
Yeah. good deal.
Yeah.
This is,
I don't have any question, I just wanna, just make a comment and say that we do appreciate all the hard work that you guys do, you and your team. We have said in different meetings, that we joke and kid about all your change orders and stuff.
Right.
But we also know, as Kim mentioned earlier about our drivers that get our kids here, without you guys and the lights being on, there would be no kids here without you guys and the plumbing. If there's no plumbing, no one's gonna be in the building, and without the heating and air, there's regulations to that, so if it's too cold or too hot, the kids cannot be in school. So you guys keep us up and running too, we do appreciate you.
Thank
We make our own building.
Yes.
Good.
cool.
Yes.
I got, like I said, it's all about the team. I got a great team behind me. They definitely, I know they're there when I need them and that's important.
Absolutely. That's
Thank you
a
guys.
great job.
Thank you. The next item on our agenda is the lovely, I believe, of naming of Frederick Douglass Elementary School playground.
Would you like me to present or would you like to say a couple words since you're here?
Sure.
Come on up. Then
Be
Mrs.
the
Lovely.
one, Mrs. Lovely.
I was just here in case you had questions, but.
I have the letter. The board also has your letter.
So, Ruby Palmer, when we were doing the research about the 100-year anniversary, I heard her name from almost everybody I interviewed. And she passed before Christmas, and numerous community members, former staff members approached me and said, hey, is the school gonna do anything for her? It'd be really nice if you did. And so I pulled a committee together and Fred, my school leadership team, and threw it out to them, and a couple of members of the school leadership team were at Fred as students or worked with her as a colleague. I talked to Mr. Cameron and found out that she had worked at Fred for 46 years. She spent about a month and a half at Blades, but the majority of her career was as a non-instructional para. And from what I understand, the playground only needed her.
Yeah.
She's in the center. And she would tell the kids on lunch duty, sit down, turn around. And so we thought it would be nice, we have our annual school barbecue through Nutrition Service, May 17th. And we thought that day we would dedicate our playground to her, since that's where she's been 46 years of her life. With your permission, we reached out to the family. I did speak with her son and get his ideas to say what we were thinking, and he was just very touched that we even were considering it, but that's what we'd like to do.
So according to board policy, it requires your approval in order for the playgrounds to be named in Ms. Palmer's honor, and that is what the letter and the group from Fred is requesting.
So what does that look like? Will we have like a plaque or something out there, or?
Yes.
Okay. I think it's good.
So I think we can either bring the plaque design by next month. If you have the plaque design.
You have it now?
Yes, I can pass it.
I'll call it back. She put a work order in for that. That's your tracking record. You had to do it then. You put pressure on.
Well, I remember, but Henry said they all come to him.
That's what I said. You put send it to him, he's gotta get done now. You can't forget. That's all I remember. My mom, that's, I like that shirt. My mom.
We need, so it's on the record, we need a motion, right?
I believe there's a action item.
Later.
See you another.
Just like.
That is all.
Miss Lovely, so who's taking the kids recess now?
Well, I don't believe in all of it being taken, but they do use minutes down there. Are they?
I lost a lot of recess. You lost a lot.
I did not.
I try to hide in the leaves, she find me in the leaves. Get out of here.
Apparently you can't
Cover up, try to
hit kids in the head with kickballs.
Yeah,
I did not lose any recess.
you couldn't get no more, but shit, get out of the leaves.
I'm pretty sure that wall is still standing because I was leaving.
Get on that wall.
You don't believe it.
I couldn't even cut grass enough to cheat over there because that wall was lined
I was gonna say, I think I extended the life of that building at least 10 years.
leaned up on that wall.
Wow.
Her, Regina Batson.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
They don't better do well.
So we can't do it.
Mm-mm.
But we can't do
So, what happened, the last time that the board considered a, naming ceremony is that you discussed it. And then the recommendation was made, not a vote, but the recommendation was made that the vote be made in the following meeting, which I believe still gives, the team at Fred enough time to plan their event in May. So, it is not a vote, so a recommendation would be made for it to be added as a voted item in April. You could vote in April and then, have the event in May.
We have a meeting in April.
Would we? It's not policy, doesn't it?
Should be.
That's awesome.
That's too late. Go through the item if you-
Yeah.
No. Yes, we should go, it's recommendation.
Right there, thank you.
Would you like to make a recommendation?
Oh, wait, I didn't know we were ready. Sorry. Yes, I recommend that we, vote in the April meeting to officially rededicate Frederick Douglass Elementary School playground to Mrs. Ruby Palmer.
A second.
Is someone else name right now? Oh, you should rededicate, that's why I didn't know. Nobody's name on it.
Dedicate, yeah,
Okay.
dedicate.
No, rededicate.
Yeah, so then we'll discuss it more and we'll vote, next month.
Oh,
Thank you.
Thank you for being here, Mrs. Lovell.
thank you.
Thank you.
Awesome.
All right, next, oh. All right, Mr. Cole, he's ready. Transportation presentation.
Thank you.
Kim Simmons and I are ready for this next part to it. We've put each other and with Dr. Geraldo, update you guys yearly on the transportation update, and that's kind of what's going on in the transportation world. So first, I'd like to thank you for what you did earlier with the bus contractors. They've done an amazing job in the 2 years that I've been here. And, I was just a principal and teacher. They're awesome to work with and they're very good. Thank you for recognizing them and being part of it. The other thing I'd like to thank you for, last year around this time, we came to you with a proposal to do 3 busways and you guys embraced that. And I thank you endlessly for it. We had no idea how it was going to go, but it turned out we could have expected. So if you look at the data up there, last year, there were 386 bus referrals. Right now, and I realize we're not at the end of the year, but we're only at 142. Bus suspensions last year was 183, and right now, this time, it's only at 59. So it has worked in terms of making sure that our bus drivers know our kids better, because we're busting on buses, but they also know the principal better. Because they're only, they're driving for 3 different schools, but it's only one group of kids at for the time. So it's much easier to know who they are and who they're working with. And you see a couple of bullet points on there, just relationships. And the numbers have been a huge help to us. The first couple of weeks of the year were a little bit of stress on all of us and just making sure timing wise worked out. We had to reroute 3 or 4 buses just to make sure their routes weren't crazy long after they finally got into them. But now at this point, all the buses are pretty much on time at the schools, maybe 1 or 2 that's a couple minutes late, but the timing has worked out and it's been great. So I thank you for a positive note on those 3 bus ways. We do have some challenges in transportation. One of them we want to talk to you about is just the McKinney-Vento students, our homeless students. Statistics, that you see at the bottom there. Just from September to January, the number of MV students has gone up by 30. And then you see costs, and I didn't put all of them down there. But I put 3 months for the last 3 years, and you can see costs are rising, and the costs are rising because we have just more students that are riding vans to school instead of being able to ride buses. So one of the things that Kim Simmons has been amazing with, and she's going to talk a little bit about, just looking at different ways to save money, and she's going to highlight 2 of them that are on the slide.
So the first one, I attended a conference in November with Tyler Bryan, who is at DOE for transportation. We got to talk to several different companies who are not here currently in Delaware. One of those is Everdriven. It's a company that's in 22 different states currently. And so talking with them and meeting with them, we've had several different meetings even here as well. We have currently got them vetted, got them working, and we are going to start with them with a pilot program. We're excited about them. It is very much like an Uber system. They have the cars that are actual vehicles that are done by the owners of the vehicles. They own the car. They're not a van like you would traditionally see. They had to go through an 18-point inspection for the person driving the vehicle, which is a lot more than what some of our van companies have currently right now. The vehicle itself is going through a 50-point inspection. So big difference in the vehicle as well. But the biggest piece to this is that there's a cost per trip, not cost per student. Currently right now, our van companies are costing us per trip per student. So if a family has 3 children in it, they're charging us per kid per trip. Where Everdriven does not charge for that. And so we know right off the bat, we're gonna start saving some money. Because most of our families have more than 1 children, or more than 1 child, should I say, coming from those homes. Now, we may have some that are going to get a high school kid and then they have to go back to get an elementary. So we're still gonna have a cost there because they're doing a separate trip because of timing. But where we can save some money is where we're sending them to that same household to pick up multiple kids. So we're excited about this. We're going to be starting this pilot with them right after spring break with a couple of kids. We're actually meeting tomorrow to kind of hand select a couple of kids just to kind of get our feet wet with them. We are going to be the first school in Delaware to have them. Colonial will be far behind. We're next behind us. I'm bringing them upstate. They are currently in Pennsylvania and Maryland, but they're way across the bridge in Maryland. So we're kind of excited about bringing them here. They're very, very excited about being on this side of the Eastern Shore, starting over here. So something new, we're going to try it, and we hope to be able to start saving some money with that as well.
Yeah, the cost saving piece of that is also going to help cancellations.
Yes.
Right now, there's no show on a van, you get charged for the whole ride. This is different, so they have different cost structures. I think.
We have set it up so when the child, let's just say the van rides to their house and the child does not get in the van. That automatically then, because the parent doesn't call the van off, that automatically then puts them in a no van that afternoon. So because the parent did not do their job and call for no van, then they do not get a van in the afternoon. So the parent then would have to call the van company or call us to get that van back. Because we automatically get charged for the van in the afternoon, no matter what, state does not pay for that. So we have now set that up for that to happen that way in the afternoon. So there's several parameters with that. We can also track the system, which we don't have the ability to do right now. We actually have an app that we have on our end, so we can actually see where these vans are. We know the vehicles. They are the parent app as well. The parents will know just like the Uber system, when the vehicle is going to be arriving. It will also be the same driver in the morning, that same driver in the afternoon, They will be wearing a blue vest. They have like the little, not the Uber sign, but it'll be the little ever-driven sign on the vehicle, so the child will know the exact vehicle that they're getting in, morning and afternoon kind of a deal. So it's kind of a neat, thing that we're working on. The other piece that we are doing is we're currently running a pilot program for DOE as well. We are, each county is doing a pilot for Tyler. And we are doing it here for Sussex County, where we have hired our own drivers who work for Seaford School District right now. And then we are renting fleet vehicles, and we have there's a blue van and a white van. We have not noticed the new blue van that's riding around town that has the Seaford School District logo on it. We have 2 van drivers that we now that are our district employees, and we have given them a list of kids that are the Kenny Bento kids that they go and pick up each morning and afternoon, and they're taking our kids. And so we're trying to do cost savings if they were our employees, because we can run them as many times as we want to. It's the same kind of cost that we're paying for the van, we're paying for their hourly rate. We can run them as much as we want to, or as little as we want to, depending on what we need as far as, and where they're going. We're trying to keep them as local as possible, because we're not sending them to Dover or to Rehoboth, or, we don't want them to go too far, in the grand scheme of things, but, we have currently a van that's going to Greenwood as far as they go and back, and then we have one that's going to Laurel and back. So they're kind of going to those kind of areas for these 2 pilot programs that we're doing for them. We have noticed that we're kind of saving quite a bit of money in those 2 pieces as well.
Running specific vehicles.
You said that's the state that you're doing that?
It's a pilot. So we're doing it here. Cedar Rodney is doing it, and then there's a district up in Newcastle that's doing it here. He's allowing 1 school district in each county to do this pilot to see. I think our last meeting that we had at state level, the state has spent 18
Last year,
18 million in McKinney-Vento last year across the state. And so there's a lot of people questioning why is this getting so high? And so we're all trying to figure out how can we start saving some money. So everybody's trying to figure out different ways to save money. We're trying to do it right.
Is there like an opportunity, like if I'm a teacher, I live in Milford, and then there's a kid in Milford? Like, is there an opportunity for them to be like a driver, or is that too far of a stretch timing wise?
Well, I mean, for teacher wise, too far of a stretch timing wise, because they're just their contracted hours and not fitting that.
But they could, like, potentially be a contractor through the company, is that ever?
Yeah, I mean. I don't know. I'm looking at Cam now. Maybe they could.
Yes, it's possible, because I drove the shuttle.
Okay.
The time though, we have to play out, the right way.
Our initial calculations when we sat to look at the district van and district hired driver versus the expense of the per child fee. And when we were thinking about like how many rides and how much of the time, it was about a 50% cost savings. But we only just started at
Middle of January. So we have,
so we're still compiling those numbers.
And also the factor in this is with McKinney-Vento,
these kids moved.
they moved.
Right.
So they could be here and in Rehoboth, but that's, I mean, by the time you would have a best interest in for them to go there, they would be somewhere
And
else.
that's been kind of one of our challenges, is we've tried to pick kids for this pilot program who have been more stable.
Mhm.
But we still have had some where we've had to move them because of they've moved.
Mhm.
And so it is kind of an ever changing
Yep.
environment. And so it is what it is, but we've tried to, I'm gonna be honest with you, we've had one family who I think has moved 15 times this year. And so the poor children have no idea whether they're coming or going at this point, and 15 moves is a lot for a child.
And do the numbers increase every year from September to the end of the school year? Is this
They do, they have,
just this year?
they have been since I've been keeping a database, and I have more information here if you want to see that, but since I've been here since 2021 doing this, they have been
Well,
increasing.
you gotta remember, McKinney-Vento students, if you become a McKinney-Vento student in October, you're a McKinney-Vento student the rest of the year.
But I'm just saying that we always start off a little bit
Yes.
lower in September and then are higher at the end of every.
We always have a decent number of kids that drop off, not the right word, but drop off from McKinney-Vento.
Become stabilized, right.
But then the next year starts, for some reason, those numbers increase every year.
If they move in a district where the school bus is going in that area already, you just can't call them school, because the school bus has a contract with that kid that you gave them in the beginning of the year, correct?
So
You just couldn't add 3 more kids.
in our district, if I can put them on a school bus, I absolutely will put them on a school bus, absolutely. But if they're coming from another district, I can't go to that district and say,
Right.
can you put them to a
Understand.
school? I can't do that. But if I can somehow, our high school or middle school kids automatically, if they're living in our districts, they automatically will be on a bus, no matter what, I will put them on a bus. But as soon as they step outside or go outside our district, then I have to put them in a van. So what we do have is some of our kids, because the sister schools, let's just say they go to Blades, but for whatever reason, they now move over on the West Seaford side. I don't have a bus over there, so I have to then put them in a van to get them over to school in Blades. And so we do have a few that are in that boat where even though they're living in Seaford, they're across the zone, if you will, and so I've got to transfer them. But we have kids that we are taking from Wilmington. I've got some in Newcastle right now. I've got some in Newark. I have kids in Salisbury. I have kids in Curlock. I have kids everywhere right now. We're being transported.
That's because the kids, they started school here, so we have to keep them, because any other time I used to, if you.
Best interest meeting.
You have to have a
Okay,
meeting.
move out of the district, you gotta go to the other
Yeah,
school.
it depends.
So,
You have to have a meeting to see what's in the best interest of that kid.
Okay, I mean, that's all outstanding.
Yeah.
Growing up myself, it didn't work.
And that's
that way.
part of it is, Kim said, that one family that hasn't moved 15
Yeah.
times. They don't have the only stability they have.
Oh,
is
it's
our school.
us, yeah,
Being able
we're
to keep
it,
them
I agree with you 100%, that's all.
Is there any type of reimbursement, anything from the state that we get for?
For McKinney-Vento, it is a 90-10 split, so the state pays 90% of that, the district has the 10% of that cost.
Yeah, so you look at that total cost, for the most part, and there's some cost of it, they have to take and everything, but we pay about 10% of that WC. So in January of 24, Seaford alone paid about 14,000, and the state pays the rest of it. So it's just like the busing is 90-10.
90-10.
It's like the 90% state.
But I can tell you that last year, we were just shy of $1 million for all over together, but I can tell you this year, we will exceed $1 million in transporting McKinney-Vento students.
We've already spent.
Throughout the state or?
No,
No,
it's
you're-
Just for Steve.
The state last year was 18 million total, but they spent and we.
I'm just confirm. So I know you guys said that typically in January it goes up, but in 2022, in January, we have 39. Is that accurate?
Yes, I mean, part of it, there might have been snow days in there, might have been days off, you know what I mean, or Christmas been in one or two. I'm not quite sure why that anomaly happened in January of 22. I really don't know.
And my other question, it's not so much about transportation, but is anyone across the state taking a deeper look at the McKinney-Vento, how the process is
Well, I mean,
occurring?
part of the problem with McKinney-Vento it's a federal law, so we can't, Delaware can't change it. We have to follow the federal guidelines. So that's, and basically if a parent requests to stay in Seaford, unless they're living across the bridge, you know what I mean, or somewhere pretty far away, they stay with us.
And I understand, saying that, looking at the school as stability, but when you talk about children that are living in Wilmington,
We're providing 4 hours a day.
that have to get down here somehow through all the traffic and expected to be at school that starts at 7 something in the morning.
Yeah, we have some
Then we
kids that-
really have to think about, is that really in best interest?
we have some food they're getting from at 5:34.
I see some, and they are exhausted.
If that, their parent in that best interest meeting says, no, this is in the best interest of my child, I want them here.
Yeah, and we have a couple students, DFS pays for the whole thing, if it's a DFS, it's the same thing that they're in DFS custody, but the kid wants the same seat, because they're living right on it. Yeah.
Just to make, really, just want to make sure, they do still have access to like extracurriculars and all those things too as well, right?
Yeah, we have,
McKinney-Vento does.
Yes.
yeah,
Foster,
It's up to-
it's up to the foster parent. Yeah.
yes, we pick kids up to do the RTC program in the morning.
After school activities,
And
sports,
sport and stuff we do, yes.
Awesome. That's great.
The coach need to give us like the schedule,
Yeah.
the games, yes, we absolutely do that. We even bring them in for like graduation practices or graduation, so yes, we transport that or whatever the need is.
Just a couple of highlights from Kim on contractors, and what you do with them.
So, obviously, the first one, I'm gonna go a little bit out of order. Obviously, the Lamans were here for 56 years, and it served our community greatly. K&J was our new contractor that kind of brought out the Lamans because they had 2 buses with us, and so, Kim and Johnny, brought them out. Both Kim and Johnny, I've met with, Johnny, recently. He may be bringing in more buses for us, so that's a positive. I don't necessarily know that it's gonna like solve all of our problems for us, but, he's talking about bringing in a few more buses for us for next fall, so that's a positive that we may have a few more buses coming in to kind of give us some relief. I also want to point out Diane's, bus service, which is, Jim and Tammy Horn. I don't know how Tammy does it. Tammy and Jim Horn do every sporting event we have had for this district. I think since I've been doing this, there have been 2 sporting events that we've had to either reschedule or maybe perhaps cancel because of some glitch somewhere. But there has not been a sporting event that Tammy has not tried to figure out or work around, or we might have to change the time on when they were leaving or some other way. But what an undertaking that has been to get them to do all of our sports here for us. And we are now actually, I gotta give Tammy credit. We have schools that are canceling games or are saying they can't get transportation to come down here to events. And they're asking, can we get to them because Jim and Tammy are willing to work with us to get buses out of here to get kids to go play. For an example, I have middle school that's going next week to go to Cesar Rodney because Cesar Rodney can't get a bus down here. So we're gonna go to Cesar Rodney to go play the game. For baseball and softball, but because Cesar Rodney can't get here. So it's one of those things where Jim and Tammy need to get some super extra credit because like how she's doing that, and Tammy also drives a bus. So she's driving a triple run and she's doing that as well as then the next one down here, Jim and Tammy also, as well as then Mr. Hayes, they're helping us with field trips. And currently right now, we have had or will be having at this point, we've done over 75 plus field trips already this school year. And there's a few more that are still in the books as well. So we are back in full swing with doing field trips. Tammy and Jim Horn are the only ones that have DOT that can go across state lines. So anybody who wants to take a field trip out of state, they're my only contractors. And so Tammy and Jim are phenomenal as far as I need to go to the Shorebirds. Can you help me out? I need to go to ROTC. Can you help me out? Because they're the only ones who can go across state lines. And so there has not been one time where Tammy has said no to us, and that's phenomenal because I can't tell you how many requests we get. I just got a request for a field trip to go to Wilmington, and Tammy didn't say no, and so it's amazing. Again, I know Mr. Little has already said it too. We've asked them to do a whole lot this past year and a half with this undertaking of doing the 3 ways and changing things. And most of you know our bus drivers are very much an older generation, and you change their route, you change their patterns, and you change their lifestyle, and you upset the apple cart. And we changed a lot of things for them. And I have to say, many of them are very happy, and they like the runs, they like where they're at, and it took us a while to get there, but we got there, and they have come a long way in doing what we've asked them to do. On our side, I hired 2 new bus drivers for the Seaford School District. And I have 3 more in the process, and so it's a positive for us because you don't hear that very often about getting bus drivers, but I have 3 more that have shown interest in becoming bus drivers on our side. And so we purchased, before the Landons went out of business, we purchased 3 of their buses. The state bought them for us. And so I have a lady who is starting as soon as we come back from spring break on 1 of the buses. So now I only have 1 of the 3 buses left. And so one of these 3 people here, as soon as they become eligible, then I won't have any buses left. So we're gonna have to be going out on a search to find buses for these folks. So Mr. Henry's gonna have to find me some more room somewhere on the lot to put some of these buses when we get them. So that's a positive, is that we're able to find some folks to get these people in here. So it's a good thing that we're able to do that.
Will, you said the hires of those 3 new individuals, will that take you off the road?
Probably not. I kind of have to pinch it when we have more than one or two drivers down. There's been times where I had somebody who calls out last minute. I had a driver who called out the other morning and I said, I texted Mr. Wells that I have to get on the bus. So there's times where you just gotta do what you gotta do. And yes, it just doesn't, it would be nice, but probably not. Probably not.
Yeah, she's stated that can't not to her own, but I think a couple times of not having to cancel the bus service. We had a couple times before we had to cancel buses. We haven't had to do that since. Part of that thanks to Kim and for being. And then the last one, biggest issue or complaint that we receive from parents is the timing of when buses show up. And as you all know with traffic, especially how it keeps increasing, other stops, construction accidents can also slow bus down. So trying to solve the problem, help our parents, their next school year, we have invested in what we hope is a huge help for parents, which is Busology.
So Busology is a GPS tracking system. We're gonna be putting trackers into the buses. It's gonna give us, there's an app that the parents will be able to download. It gives them a snapshot within about 10 minutes or 10 miles away where the bus is coming to their house. So on their app, it'll actually show them in this little piece about where the bus is coming, literally kind of give them a little map. I was kind of concerned at the beginning that it would give them too much, but it really doesn't. And it literally takes them to the house. I didn't want them like to know, like be stalkers and kind of finding out everything, and so it doesn't. It doesn't do that. It shows them where the bus is, how far it's going to be out. It gives them information on if they have multiple children. It'll show them all of the buses that will be coming to their house if they have multiple buses coming. As well as then for us on our end, we can then be able to see where all of the buses are. So if I have a bus who we can't figure out where it's at, the radio is not working, I can go on my computer and figure out, okay, this bus is here, where it's at, and figure out what's going on. So I can then be able to track. It also can, on our end, I can push out alerts or messages to parents to say, I'm gonna pick on Mr. Benson, Dad, Mr. Benson, his bus is running late, so I can go in and put it onto the app, bus 14 is running late. It'll push out a message to those parents, bus 14 is running late. They then know that bus 14 is running late because that message is gonna go to those parents. So they would then know to be able to check their app to know when the bus is gonna start coming to their house, that it's gonna be a few minutes late. So the other thing that's gonna help us is we know that those first couple of weeks of school for us, our phones don't stop ringing because parents want to know when the bus is coming, when the bus is coming, when the bus is coming. That is gonna help us. Now, with everything, we're gonna have all these little glitches to work out, because we'll be new to it. But this will be huge as we can roll this out in the beginning of the fall, that this, hey, go download this and go get this on your phone so that you can start seeing, at least here's your bus and here's the time frame of when your bus is gonna start coming to your house, and that they can then as parents start taking some ownership, especially for our kindergarten parents, where we have the kindergarten parents who don't always get to the bus stop on time. You now can see that if you're not home, you've got 10 minutes to get home because the bus is gonna be there in 10 minutes.
Question, so this is also gonna be on our contracted buses?
Yes, it's gonna be on all of our buses.
They've all agreed to.
They've all agreed to it, okay? So it's gonna track it. It has a possibility eventually down the road where we can have students with their ID badges or a badge, or when they get on the bus, they can swipe in. So we would then be able to know who's sitting on that bus, and then when they get off, they can swipe off. Or,
We gotta get that first.
well, and we also know that the swipe card would be nice, and we know the little ones will never keep up with the swipe card. There's also a possibility where they could punch in like their cafeteria number. Again, group stops, that's gonna be really hard because these little kids are not gonna remember all these little numbers. So that would be hard, like at a group stop, like Mobile Gardens, of getting all these kids to do that. There is, that's why we're kind of waiting on the second piece for this. I've been told the meeting that, or the conference I went to in November, there's the next set or the next phase of this is where the bus driver will be able to see the picture of the children at the bus stop.
Yeah.
So when Sally's coming up the steps, he can see her picture and he can click it himself. And he can see the next one. So like it will be a simple click for him or her so that he can do the clicking and the kid can just keep on walking, but he can click to see that who's getting on his bus versus them having to do all of this on the little, it's kind of like a little iPad screen for them, for them. The other thing that's really cool about this is would be the GPS would be on there, so I could then go hop on your dad's bus if he's not able to drive it. I wouldn't have to know his route because it's gonna tell me where his route is. So all I have to do is go on the bus, and that thing's gonna tell me where I gotta go. It's gonna tell me where I gotta stop, what's gonna happen. The other cool thing about that will help us is we always get those phone calls from parents that say, that bus didn't come to my house, it didn't stop. So this is gonna tell me, yes, ma'am, it stopped, it stayed there for 30 seconds, the door opened. It stayed there for another 30 seconds,
Right.
and then it left. Also, ma'am, I can show you that for the last 3 days, it did the exact same thing at this time, at this time, and this time, because it's gonna show me all that data. And so then I can tell the parent, and then sometimes once you start talking about data, then they kind of like stop talking or not saying a phone on you because you've got data to tell them that you've got it. So this currently will tell us all of that information.
So they plug into their phones or?
It's an app.
It's an app.
It's an app on their phone.
I have a couple questions. So we do have full control of who has access to, like, as far as like your parents and everything, like we can, so if we need to take out a parent for some reason, because we can take them out, they want to access. Can you also speak more to the limitations on the access that they do have, because it's really time, because I was listening to the Daily today, and they were talking about how our cars track us, and how like husbands were using the apps on the cars to track their ex-wives and things like that, you know, making it an unsafe environment.
The only thing they see is.
They're only gonna see 10 minutes out. I was worried about, for me, are they gonna be able to see where that bus goes after?
Right.
I was really worried, but I'm thinking, what if they're mad at that bus driver, or they want to see where that bus is going after?
Or they don't even know where those other kids live.
Right, they're mad at somebody else. They after leave their house, that's it, they're done. Now, they will be able to see the 10 minutes with any other buses that their children have. So they would be able to see those routes, but it only gives them that 10 minutes prior to coming to their house or their stop, I think. So if they're at a group stop, it doesn't even show their house, it's gonna show that group stop.
Yeah.
So it's only the 10 minutes prior to their stop, that's all it shows them. It doesn't show them anything other than that. It doesn't show them that.
Like leaving the bus yard and driving.
Yeah.
It's
not real time like that.
Putting down the profile,
Mhm.
that's what they do.
Gotcha.
It doesn't show.
Okay.
How much?
What was the law? It was
I don't know.
20,000 in total, but yearly it was less than.
I think it's like $4,000 for a year to like to keep the maintaining it
So it's probably the GPS calls too.
Right, it's not bad.
on it.
You pay it more.
We thought it was worth the investment.
Yeah, it's not bad at all. For what it does, it's not bad at all.
It's also factored into the ESSER, like, so all the startup costs and everything, we were able to develop.
I can also tell you that this is part of the transportation thing at DOE. This is a big push that Tyler's trying to get pushed through, that eventually that he wants the state to pick up the annual fee for. Many of the districts already have this.
They're out here, Woodbridge has it.
Woodbridge has it, yeah, many of the other districts upstate already have this, they already have the screens and they have the swipe cards and they already have that. But this is something that Tyler's big push is for them to start picking up the annual maintenance fee. So that's something that once we get this, that would be kind of like really nice if they picked up the annual fee for it.
Go back 4 years and think about contact tracing and those sort of opportunities, and which is why this was able to get approved in the first place.
Yep. Okay.
And this pathology ties into our routing system. So it's the same company that does our routing system. So it is the same software.
As the cost to the parent.
Nothing.
That's pretty.
Any other questions about transportation? Again, I thank you. I just know, it's a lot for what we do. My office is, seems to be nonstop. I know Mr. Henry's in our office, with us, but, from 6 to 6, it seems like there's a whole lot of problem solving and trying to figure out things, but, we get it done. We try to.
You'll be done.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so Mr. Cameron, how do you wanna run through these?
I mean, if you want them to all come up, I can do it, or I can run through them pretty quickly, if that's what you'd like me to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Whatever you
So,
say.
Britt, not just a little jog.
I'm only moving very quickly, so that shouldn't be a problem. All right, look, geez, somebody to go and mention to go. All right, FBR and FBE, we are having a second reading to eliminate FB later this evening, and so in conjunction with eliminating policy FB, we're looking to eliminate FBR and FBE because they would no longer be necessary. All right. Very good. FFE, I'm sorry. Yeah, FFE is out of date, and remember, we changed some policies around recognition and everything, so FFE as an exhibit doesn't need to exist because the, was left, we didn't do that. That's not what it says in our policy now for the, that you'll accept letters from the community to the board, so FFE doesn't need to exist. IGE is a very old exhibit, IGE-B, I'm sorry, it's a very old exhibit that you needed to use to show your VHS or maybe your beta.
Film strip.
Terry said that, also being the film strip. So obviously the digital wave is a little bit more leeway in what you're showing in the classroom, but if you need permission, if there's in the handbook that Mr. Zoll put together, it shows what you have to do to get that permission to show. So IG-E is obsolete. BDB is we're officers. We're looking to just, all we're doing is striking in number one, it says in parentheses BCF. I believe there is no longer BCF, but is the reason why we need to get rid of that. FG is next, and we're simply keeping that policy as is. It's just a review. Because one of the things we run up against sometimes when you look at policy, it says adopted and revised. And in this case, it says this was revised in 1997. So it gives the impression that nobody has looked at this since 1997. So by putting the review in there, once Ms. Mack and I are no longer here, which will be a long time, everybody will realize that some of this has been done and gives us, that's what we're going to start to do. And the reason we have FG in here is by reviewing FG, we are completely through section F of the policy manual. Wow. Congratulations, Mr. Henry. Next, we have BE, which is the school board meeting. And we're just looking, we want to get in the habit of just refer to Delaware code is getting like the Title 29 and everything out of there because those things change in code. So we just put Delaware code, it keeps us from having to go back and, oh, what, we type this in, that's nothing to do with it. So that would be the change in BE. In BHC, which is board communications with staff, we're just looking to strike the GBD from that. And that's part of our naming process of everything. And I think Mr. Zoll, you're up next, if I'm not mistaken, right?
JPA, the reason I have is just, it comes to school basically, so it's time to be the school. Update the transportation piece to make it accurate, admitted, school roll, living 1 mile away or 3 miles away. Walking wise, and then in JCA, we did the school board part of that because there's already a full policy which was on the JFAA, I just deleted that last line and because they're listed in the regulations, so I didn't need it twice. In JFAB, I did the same thing that Mr. Tam talked about. They talked about specific state codes. But we did take those in the state so that way if the code changes, our board policy doesn't have to change. And then the 2 regulations that go with those, just for you to see, you can look at them. If you have any updated language to make it relevant, and then try to tie them together as well. Like kindergarten enrollment procedures, that some of the early enrollment, they were written differently in 2 different policies, which would make sense, we get in the same, and then just updated titles of people making those decisions.
Which brings it back to me for BEDH-E, which is the public participation at board meetings in the exhibit. So I believe Dr. DiGirolamo and Ms. Mouse kind of sat down and looked at the blue form, and we wanted to make the blue form be less negative and be a little bit more positive, because the way it was kind of written before was a little bit of, if you have a complaint, if you're not happy with, and that's just not the way we kind of want to do this. I think Dr. Savage, when we talk about the policy, we talk about this is almost an encouragement, more like if you have something you want to talk about, here's how you go about doing things. And all the sort of stuff in regards to, I know sometimes somebody will do a public participation and say, expect that when they ask you something that you're going to answer it, and that's not what public participation is. Public participation is for you to bring a concern, and you may not have an answer, there may not be discussion with it, it might be thank you, and we'll have to get back to you. So,
So yeah, legally, if it's not on the agenda, we cannot.
Cannot answer, that's right.
and because otherwise we have to build our commitment with it for you and so that is is what's going on with that exhibit, to make it a little bit more friendlier, I guess, is the way to look at it. And the last one to look at is the policy names discussion to align with NEPN. If you remember last month's board meeting, I held up this document that shows NEPN regulation, and what we asked was, rather than bring everything to the board of changing names, is that we have the ability to change the names to match NEPN. And if you look in there, you can see when we get done tonight, everything will have been changed to what it's supposed to be in NEPN and moving forward. And look, the work of this was mismatched and the detail. What I would say is, Ms. Math, whenever you decide to retire or go after I retire, maybe I'll ask for the policy manual to be named after. In that case, but I can't thank her enough for the hard work that went into that, because it was tedious, and I think at least a few emails went back to me, I'm done looking at this today. I can't do it anymore, and the sentence as well, but we've actually, I don't know if I want to say it this way, we've actually had a good time doing this, and if calls would be fun, we found a way to do it, this stuff. So but I really wanted to thank Ms. Mass for her great work for this.
All right.
Thank you. Good. So now we move on to our action item number 7. And the first one being 7.01 to 3 Detroit. And I need a motion to approve.
That Benson, I make a motion to approve school choice applications 2025-39.
Marcus, try something.
We have a motion, we have a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And that motion carries. The next item on our agenda is 7.02, field trips. There are 3 field trips that are on the agenda today. One being the high school ski club student, April 12th to the 14th. The time is to be determined, but it will be the DCON 2024 Capital District Ski Club Convention in Crystal City, Virginia. So I'm sure that'll be interesting and fun. The second one is for Douglas Fifth Grade students, May 30th. Their time is 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. They're going to National Constitution Center in Philadelphia, PA. Students will explore historic locations, including the Liberty Bell, to Dr. Savage's point earlier, when she was talking about that, Independence Hall, Washington Square Park, Benjamin Franklin, printing press, etc. And then the third being the high school would be your JDG students, April 17th through 21st. Time, again, will be to be determined. National Career Development Conference, and that will be in St. Louis, Missouri. So we will be competing national in a public speaking event. It will be attending various workshops. Now that would be awesome. That'd be awesome. So those are field trips, and I need a motion to approve those.
Sarah Savage, I move to approve the field trip.
Second.
We have a motion and we have a second. If there's no further discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And that motion carries. The next item is 7.03, facility request. And we see that we have an event, Delmarva Dance Vault Studio. Lindsay Porno is a requester, and the dates will be June 14th through the 15th of 2024. And as you can see, they talk about the setup time, the breakdown time, and all those great things. The other event that you will see on here is Friends of Sussex County League, all in sports basketball practice. The requester or that person is Derek Savage. The rental dates for that is April 8th, 2024 to August 3rd, 2024. And we have parentheses that's just on Tuesday evenings. Event setup is scheduled for 6 p.m. to end at 8 p.m. So you can see they want to use the gym. And you can see that they anticipate 25 people. But we would need a motion to approve both of those.
Marcus, I move to approve the facilities request agenda as presented.
Jeff Benson, second.
We have a motion, we have a second. If there's no further discussion, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And that motion carries. The next item on our agenda is 7.04, 2024 to 2025 full calendar. Mr. Cameron did present that earlier, and we would need a motion to approve.
Jeff Benson, I make a motion to approve the 2024-2025 school calendar as presented.
Second.
We have a motion, we have a second. We discussed it earlier, so all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And that motion carries. The next item on our agenda, 7.05, BBB, Board Officer Policy. Mr. Cameron has already gone over that, we have discussed it. I need a motion to approve.
I'll make-
Go ahead.
I'll make a motion to approve 7.05 board officer politics.
Yes, I have a second. We have a motion, we have a second. All in favor, say aye. Opposed? That motion carried. The next item on our agenda, 7.06, BE School Board Meeting Policy. Again, Mr. Cameron has discussed this with us. If there's no discussion, all in favor, say, I need a motion.
Yes, I move to approve. School board meeting policy.
When you go make up the policy, I can also move a motion. We have a motion, we have a second. All in favor, say aye. Opposed? And that motion carries. Next item on our agenda is 7.07 BHC Board Communications with Staff Policy. Again, Mr. Cameron has already discussed it with us, but we need a motion to approve.
Mark Schreider, move to approve the first reading BHC Board Communication with Staff Policy as presented.
Jeff Benson, second.
All right, we have a motion, we have a second. If there's no further discussion, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And that motion carries. The next item on our agenda is 7.08 JCA, assignment of students to school policy. Mr. Zoll did discuss that with us earlier. And if there's no further discussion, I would need a motion to approve.
There's have it, I move to approve first reading of JCA, assignment of school, students and schools as presented.
Second.
We have a motion and we have a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And that motion carries. Next item on our agenda, 7.09 JFAA, admission of resident student policy. This again was a policy that Mr. Zoll went over with us earlier. If there's no further discussion, we need a motion to approve.
Jeff Benson, I make a motion to approve the first reading of JFAA admission of resident students policy as presented.
Mark Schreider, second.
We have a motion and we have a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And that motion carries. Next item on our agenda is 7.10 JFAB, admission of non-resident students policy. Again, this was a policy that was enrolled, discussed with us earlier. If there's no further discussion, we would need a motion to approve.
I make a motion to approve 7.10 admission of non-resident student policy.
Derek Savage, I second.
All right, we have a motion, we have a second. All in favor, say aye. Opposed? And that motion carries. Okay. Next item is 7.11 FA facilities development goals, priorities, objective policy. And this one is a second reading, and so we will need a motion to approve.
Mark Schreider, move to approve the second reading of FA Facilities Development Goals / Priority Objectives Policy as presented.
Jeff Benson, second.
All right, we have a motion and we have a second. Is there any further discussion related to this policy? Not seeing any? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And that motion carried. Next item on our agenda is 7.12 FD Facilities Planning Policy. This too is the second reading, but we will need a motion to approve.
I make a motion to approve the second reading of the deletion. Oh, I'm sorry. Let me digress. I make a motion to approve the second reading of FA Facilities Development Goals, Priorities, Objectives Policy as presented.
Derek Savage, I second.
Hold on, wait a minute. That's the one we just did.
Next one.
Next one down, 7.12.
Well,
Yeah, 7.12 FD Facilities Planning Policy.
I make a motion to approve the second reading of deletion of FB facilities planning policy as presented.
There, a second.
We have a motion and we have a second. If there is no further discussion, all in favor say aye. Opposed? And that motion carries. And now that brings us to the blue form, and that's you, Mr. Renner.
So basically, what was sent to you guys with the facility assessments and, how we came about those was, the state actually sent them down through, requirement through Senate Substitute 1, Senate Bill, SB 270. So basically, they come up with a facility assessment tool. But what I want to remind you guys, we basically submitted assessments to them for the last 5 years, through CNs. And, this is just another tool that we can use to tell the state where we're at with our buildings. So what I did is basically, we worked as a team. My maintenance guys basically, went through by trade. So like Mike Mulvaney did all the plumbing, Ron did all the HVAC, Dylan did all the electrical. And then I actually took the assessments that we had from the architects and walked the buildings myself and kind of compared the two, that what we have and what we've addressed and the things that we have outstanding. And then some of the hot topics, which you would see on some of the reports here. I think there should be multiple pages here, Candy.
Yeah.
Okay, so basically you'll see where we kind of, like Dylan's filled in some of the, our census to me, and then I fill it in, and then, same thing with the plumbing. If you go down a little bit further to show the plumbing, mold, mildew concerns, stuff like that. So basically I'll link on the building chiefs also, because they're in there daily, right? They're addressing these things daily. So if they get a lot of complaints, so perfect example, that's our elevator. AJ, how many times do you call your elevator in a day's time? Is it a nuisance, or is there maintenance issues with it or anything like that? Water quality is an important one right now. And basically what I discovered in these assessments is we've done a really nice job over the last 3 or 4 years addressing things that are on here now. So basically the water quality, we changed out all our water fountains. All our drinking fountains have been updated to now have bottle fillers also. And all of our kitchen faucets have all been changed out, because, the lead concerns and stuff like that. So we were ahead of the game on some of this, but with a 100-year-old building, you can only do so much, right? So there's still some deficiencies that you're gonna see on here, which I told the guys, I said, we're not hiding anything.
Right.
I want the state to know where we're at. That's why we sent the assessments we sent to them. So, basically we put all these together, and submit them, we're asking for, approval to submit them to the state. And then next month, I'm gonna be bringing you a maintenance plan, which will basically tie all these, and what I talked about earlier tonight with our maintenance guys, of how we're gonna address moving forward, how we're gonna do what we can with the funding that we have available to us, which doesn't go very far, unfortunately. But, like I said, through ESSER and your guys' support, we've addressed a lot of things over the last 4 or 5 years that would have still been on here. So we've made progress. We still got a long ways to go with these older buildings. And the other thing I'm hoping to do is, and Marcus, I know you guys want to talk about the minor cap funding and the way it's allocated. It's not really fair. So I'm hoping that this will open some eyes on Cape's oldest building, 2012. It's not a big on Cape, but it's a 2012 our oldest building. It's 100 years old. So it takes more money to maintain the 101-year-old building than it does the 2012. So hopefully they'll divvy that up a little differently with these reports. So we're going to get it on.
And I wanted to add, Mr. Henry, he said big key, part of why this is coming down from the state, and you correct me if I'm wrong, is that they're gonna kind of take a look at this and see this, that's what they're asking everybody to assess. I want to give a big kudos to Mr. Henry, because he has been doing some of this work leading up to it, because we're a district of 6 buildings. Upstate, there were some districts, downstate, there's a district with a lot more buildings that when they said, hey, this is gonna be done by this date, there was a lot of complaining that went on. And I think I allowed Mr. Henry to complain for 30 seconds, then it was like, we're gonna get this done, because that's what we do. But a lot of hard work, the countless hours that he has spent here on evenings and weekends to not disrupt the education process to get this done and needs noted. And the great job of Chief Elevates, the plan of attack here to get this as thorough as possible is great. And we do have to approve each of them individually per the state. It's just so that's why they're on there, not as a group. So that's why there's gonna be 6 approvals. That's not Mr. Henry's choice, that's the state tells us we have to do it that way.
And then, like I said, next month I'll be coming with a maintenance plan, which will be another approval that go along with this to be sent down. But I wanted you guys to see these this month and then it'll all kind of tie together for you.
So we'll stop and approve each one.
Okay,
Um,
if you don't mind, I'm gonna stay here because I got the next one.
oh, that is fine.
Okay.
So Mr. Henry just went over, which are. 7.13, Central Elementary School Board Assessment Report. But there's no further discussion or questions for him. That it's simple, then we need a motion to approve that.
Mark Schreiber moves to approve the Central Elementary School Building Assessment Report as presented.
Daryl Savage, I second.
Right? We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye. Opposed? That motion carried. Next one is 7.14. And that would be West Seaford Elementary School Building Assessment Report.
Armor Rice, 7.14 West Seaford Elementary School, Building Assessment Report approved.
Daryl Savage, I second.
All y'all.
14.
Oh, no.
Oh, okay.
I'm moving them over, my little insurance files. Yeah, my pile. Yeah. I am. All right, so we have a motion, we have a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And that motion carries. Next item is 7.14, Blaze Elementary School Building Assessment Report.
Mark Schreiber moves to approve the Blaze Elementary School Building Assessment Report as presented.
Second.
We have a motion and we have a second. There's no further discussion or questions of Mr. Henry related to this matter. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And that motion carries. Next item is 7.16 for the Douglas Elementary School Building Assessment Report. If there is no further discussion or questions of Mr. Henry related to this, I'll need a motion.
I, Armor Rice, make a motion, 7.16 for Douglas Elementary School Assessment Report approved.
Daryl Savage, I second.
All right, we have a motion, we have a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries. Next one, 7.17, Seaver Middle School Building Assessment Report. If there's no further questions or discussion related to this meeting of Mr. Henry, I need a motion to approve.
Daryl Savage, I move to approve Secret Middle School Building Assessment Report as presented.
Jeff Benson, second.
We have a motion, we have a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And that motion carries. The next item is 7.18, Seaver High School Building Assessment Report. Again, Mr. Henry, if there's no further questions or discussion related to this matter, I need a motion.
Jeff Benson, I make a motion to approve Seaver High School Building Assessment Report as presented.
Mark Schreiber second.
We have a motion, and we have a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And that motion carries. The next item on our agenda is 7.19, SCA 421005 West Seaver Elementary MVP 1, and that is Mr. Henry.
Okay, so, so basically, guys, I'm bringing these 2 more authorized allowances that are favored. But it's basically leasing a couple of jobs up that were picking up on the chiller projects. So, one is at West Seaford where there's an old oil tank, we no longer use oil, we use nothing but, gas propane. So, basically, it's removing the old tank and making room for some, possible storage area, and it's cleaning the boiler room up, getting rid of the old pumps and associated with piping in there. So, that one's also, like I said, an authorized allowance. So it's coming off of the already budgeted, and it's been budgeted into the, so it's coming out of that.
No new money.
No new money.
No new money.
Any questions?
Nope. Madam Secretary. Dr. Farrell said nope. All right, those are also action
I'm
items.
sorry, environmentally wise, when you take that old tank out or do anything like that, you gotta do a lot of environmental stuff.
So that's
They
only
already checked that out.
contractor, so that's why we contract that out to those guys. So the contractor has to follow Rex stipulation on getting rid of the tank or anything like that. If we had chosen, so like, we were thinking about, like, we were like, hey, can we give it to a farmer, a local farmer or something like that? If we do that, then we have to follow all those regulations.
Yeah.
So it's easier just to let the contractor take it
On that, and then put the dirt in, whatever you need to do.
Absolutely, yeah, but unfortunately, this one's above the ground, so
Oh, okay.
not as much to deal with, it's like it would be if.
Yeah, like surface dirt.
Middle school river
Stack. Very good.
All right, this is an action item. 7.19, that's here, underscore, and the rest. So we need to approve.
There's a resolution approved SCA underscore 21005 WSB ME1 allowance. Authorization change order number 1.
Marcus, right, a second.
All right, we have a motion, we have a second. If there's no further discussion, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, and that motion carries. Next one is 7.20 SBA underscore 21005. This one is Central Elementary School dash MEP1 allowance authorization.
I on the right.
No,
Right, yeah. I think it's the right call.
So this was masonry repairs inside the boiler room. So I think what happened there, it's not really, it was surprising because when we took the pipes away from the wall that were existing, the chiller pipes, there was a huge crack in the wall. So I think when they put the pipes in, they actually came way too far and struck the wall and actually cracked the masonry wall. Good thing is it's not load bearing, so we had a structural engineer come in and look at it. And this is basically just repair that crack that was behind that piece of pipe. So that's basically what we're doing there. And it's not the new construction, that it's when it put in 25 years.
Oh, so, yeah.
Yeah, 25 years ago, they did that, they hit that wall, I guess, when they put that pipe there, so.
Oh, thank God it wasn't a little bearing.
Right, because it looks like somebody, actually, that's what I said, it's funny, but they put caulk. And like tried to fill it in and paint it over it so nobody would see it, and then when the pipe went up against it, it actually hit it. So then you couldn't see it, so when we pulled the old pipe down, we were like, whoa, that's a huge crack. Basically, that's what this is.
Get rid of those people.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm asking a lot. Yes, so this is an action item. It is 7.20 SBA underscore with the rest. I hope we need a motion.
Marcus Ryder moves to approve SCA underscore 21005 dash Central Elementary School dash MEP1 authorized allowance change or allowance authorization change order number 1 is presented.
Jeff Benson, a second.
We have a motion and we have a second. If there's no further discussion, all in favor, say aye. Opposed, and that motion carries. Next, we have 7.1 financial report, and that will be Mr. Hill.
Good evening, and you'll see our normal operating unit expenses up on the screen right now. As of right now, at month end, we are at 66.67% of the year. We were at the end of February. Operating unit expenditures went down to just over 700K, with the majority of that being local salary and utilities at 472K and 138K respectively. Just a reminder when looking at this, that we are starting to come through the process of operation utilities being a little higher because of the increase that we are being assessed on electricity. Any questions on that? Nope. Tax collection. Collection is up to, let me see here, this past month, 69,517 with about 21,000 of that in delinquent collection. We have now, if you notice on there, exceeded the budgeted tax receipts for the year. So anything else that comes in is just extra. It's just extra. So, any questions on tax collection? Nope. Set aside. This is still holding at 2.95 million. So we're good there. We'll keep rolling unless you have questions. State, let me see here, monthly revenue. So state transportation revenue continues to go up as discussed, but so does the transportation expense. Although we are exceeding revenue on the state side, we were tracking okay so far on the local side of the operating, as per what you saw on the operating unit expense report. You can also see a mental health cash option added for partial unit cash out for approximately 23K. That's highlighted in red. Remember, the red is positive in this situation. And quite a bit of interest has come in at roughly 600K for month end February 24. Any questions there? The only other thing I will add, and this is something that we will be getting scheduled in the very near term, but we will be starting up our Citizens Budget Oversight Committee, which was something that was underway when Ms. Brennan left the position. I felt that when I came on, and I told you I'd always be transparent with you, that I needed to understand Seaford fiscal operations a little more before we move forward with those meetings. So we will be moving forward with those. And I don't know if any of the board would like to be involved. If you'd like to be involved in that process, please let me know.
You did say on that mental health cash option, that's money that we gain, the state gives us that money, like, is that like a grant money or something, we get that, we earn that?
We received, I'll let you speak to the unit.
Or is there something we do and it can go up, or is it a certain one?
We are units based on our numbers for our high school and middle school for mental health support.
Okay.
And everybody we've been able to put in positions we have, and this was some leftover units. So we cast that in so that we can use that for, say, Mr. Zoll is a contract with somebody that we're contracting the outside,
Oh,
we'll use that money towards that.
Okay. Yeah, I was thinking like Farcom, we get grants or something along, these sort of things, just send you money. Like the red lights, we get $20,000 for the people running red lights. We love it when you run the red lights. I didn't know if we could do it health wise or something we do. We don't use it enough and then they'll give us a grant. Very good.
Any other questions?
Yeah. All right, so we're not seeing any questions. This is the action, item, financial report, and we need a motion.
There's I move to approve the financial reports as presented.
All right, we have a motion in a second, all in favor, say aye. I don't hear what. Okay. Opposed? And that motion carries. Next item is the long range agenda. As you can see, you have a lot of great stuff there on the board. Please, do your best when you can, to go to some of the fast food options. When we have like Fred Douglas Chick-fil-A night, we have teachers night, at Seaford McDonald's Central Elementary. So, make sure that you're looking at those things. Also looking at like school librarian day, thank your librarian. Look at the days that we have closed, and don't forget the kindergarten registration, March 28th, and that's at the high school, 9 to 2:30. Then we have assistant principals week, parent, we heard you over there, Dr. Stiles. Parent testing information nights. And then there's going to be a event rally, you're gonna have it outside of the football field, at the middle school.
Yeah.
And then our next board meeting will be April the 15th.
Hey, Ms. Hopkins,
Yeah.
this is my fault, and I forgot to tell,
Oh, okay.
that April 13th, we do our second house fair. The first one was, I believe, was amazing. So April 13th at West Seaford from 12 to 4, there was second community health fair that we're sponsoring.
And that's at West Seaford 12 to 4 on April 13th.
Trail Health is gonna be there as our sponsor.
Oh, nice.
I believe Central Elementary has multicultural night on Wednesday
Yes.
as well.
Yes. And then, let's see. This week, just a reminder is what, SATs?
Wednesday.
Wednesday, I had gotten an alert, so just reminder, if your child is gonna leave after the test, parents need to write a note, give them permission.
And 9, 10, and 12 are asynchronous at that.
Yeah, 9
Yes.
of our speakers that day, so.
We have all the electronic tests, we're all doing like, talk about on TV, we just do it on paper.
Oh, we're electronic.
That's it.
Yeah.
It's all digital.
And many schools, I don't know that all, but I know many schools in our state are making the other class, for the class, grade level asynchronous
Okay.
on those days or synchronous.
Yeah.
So that whoever's taking the test, they're the only kiddos in the school at that time
Okay.
to alleviate some of the distractions.
Yeah, that's what my job was. Get the bid, get that.
Did we have a health fair this Saturday?
2 weekends ago, last week, Saturday.
What do we have this Saturday?
This Saturday, on the day.
Nothing? Big pass?
Yeah, it is baseball, this.
Yeah, middle school play.
Middle school play, Friday, Saturday.
And recruiting.
Yeah, grades. There's that a lot.
When we give them, when we go up to the other schools, do we get a forfeit? Do we automatically win?
We actually won tonight by forfeit because the,
I ain't funny.
Glasgow forfeited.
Oh, I'll take it back. That ain't funny.
They had to softball because they couldn't get to us.
Wasn't good.
No, they had another issue with Glasgow.
Oh, okay. That's the.
Gotcha. All right, so next item on our agenda is executive session, but I need a motion to go out of public and into executive session.
One sudden move into executive session.
There, Savage, I second.
Motion and second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, and that motion carries, and it is 8:09 PM.